popular tunes of the day. And the reason I say that you then later put on? No, some big names don't do it, but I mean, I don't even think about it. Some people, like a guy called Danny G, spoke to international.
Actually mentioned one of his first music experiences was one of the talent competitions we put on, but I don't know the man. He must have been just somebody who passed through my life. I didn't notice, and he didn't notice me or us. But we did have we had a couple of records in the top part of the national charts with a guy called Rick Clark, and he was one of the winners. But having success, or what they thought was success, wasn't a big deal. It was a big deal to get there, but when all is said and done, it's just another one of those activities that we were involved in.
So a very busy time by the sound of it.
Well, it was a missed opportunity for situations which, had we been educated about the business side of it and embraced it and dealt with it in the way we could have embraced it, it could have been something that is still in existence now, because many of the DJs that we had on our radio station, like Daddy Ernie, Jenny Francis, and so many more, they went on to going on Liga radio station. And like 7 of our DJs ended up on Choice FM. Other DJs went to Liga radio broadcasting networks like Graham Gold. We had all of that situation, but we never nurtured it as a business. Even though we were all about enterprise, we didn't actually practice enterprise in terms of what we should have learned.
It's something that's not, when I think about my own past, which is different kinds of businesses, but I don't know, sometimes they used to say to me, you've got to work on your business, not in it. You've got to be outside it, looking at it as a whole. And I was always in it, working very hard, trying to juggle everything, but I wasn't taking a view on it from the outside. And I think that was a sort of people used to say that to you. Half the time the people saying that to you hadn't really done that themselves, but it was kind of words of wisdom to keep your eye on the thing from the outside. But when you're in the middle of it, it's just, there's so much going on, it's sometimes hard to do. But we'll go with another track here, which is the great ballad man John Holt, and this is Mr. Bojangles.
I knew a man Bojangles and he danced for you in worn out shoes, with silver hair, a ragged shirt and baggy pants. The old soft shoes, he jumped so high, then he lightly touched down. I met him in a cell in New Orleans. I was down and out. He looked at me to be the eyes of age. As he spoke right out, he talked of life, laugh and slap his legs a stare. Said his name's Bojangles, then he danced a leg across the cell. He grabbed his pants a bed of stairs, oh how he jumped up high. He clicked his heels, he let go a lie, let go a lie, shook back his clothes all around. He danced for those at minstrel shows and county fairs. Throughout the South, he spoke with tears of 15 years. Oh, how he dogged and he traveled about. He dogged up and died, dogged up and died. After 15 years, he still grieved. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, dance. He said I dance in every chance in honky-tonk, for drinks and tips, but most of the time I spend behind these country bars. He said I drink so big. He shook his head, and as he shook his head, I heard someone ask, please. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, dance. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles.
The great John Holt. This is Reminiscence. This is Reminiscence. This is the Reminiscence Radio for Fefferity. These are a great selection of tracks. So, John Holt, listening to him for a long time?
Oh, sorry, I'm daydreaming. John Holt, yeah, of course. He's one of my kind of greatest sources of inspiration when it comes to reggae music. Yeah, just a beautiful voice, beautiful sentiments, and his music is just so much a part of my childhood or my teens. Yeah, I think most people who are associated with reggae back in the day will have a John Holt album in their collection.
We were just singing that one when we Take the Ribbon from My Hair. What's that track called? Take the ribbon.
It's a classic American soul track.
Yeah, because they did loads of Neil Diamond. They took a lot of Neil Diamond tracks were was it Neil Diamond? I think I'm right in saying that they took a lot of his tracks and did the reggae versions, and they were hugely popular.
Oh, I didn't know that, but I know Neil Diamond is one of my another one of the amazing artists. If I was to talk about my wider appreciation of music, well, Neil would have to be in there.
Do you think it's possible to take any music and do a sort of dub version of it? Do you think it's physically possible?
Absolutely. You could produce any track in any style of music your creativity wishes to reach into.
I often think about that, and I hear a song and I think, well, how would you take that apart and then recompose it in a sort of reggae or a dub feel? I imagine that's something that, because you've been working for so long in production, that you could hear it fairly quickly. And
I don't know if I particularly could do that, but there's some songs you just naturally put your own identity too,
Yeah.
or your own kind of creativity too, and you start to feel it in the way that is totally different from what that original composition is.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I find myself inspired a lot by when I'm listening to a track, and often I'll mishear the words, and I'll then think, and then new words will come to my mind, and then a bit of the melody, and suddenly you've got a new song. You know, so you're listening to something which triggers a thought, and then you take a bit of the melody and that new thought, and then something new emerges. So, you know, they say nothing's ever new. It's always, in a way, part of the experience of listening to other music.
Oh, very much so. I do that all the time. I'm scared. I try not to listen to other people's tracks too much. Otherwise, just unconsciously, I start to regurgitate it with my own. I keep the melody, but I start to apply different lyrics. But people who may know, they might say, "Isn't that somebody else's song?" Because I always tend to entwine the original melody in a new composition, or so I call it, with different words.
Well, even the greats of supposed greats of other musical histories, like the Beatles, were well known for taking songs almost completely from somewhere else and rebadging it.
Yeah.
So I'm not suggesting you did that, but I mean, we were sitting in the cafe and we came up with "I'm stepping out of the mainstream into a new river."
I love
You
it.
know,
I love that.
Just that thought that came from conversation. You know, it's a hook, isn't it? Into, you can almost start to feel the rest of that song emerging just from that single starting point.
Yeah, well, it was emerging. It has emerged because it actually, from that little conversation, it seeped into my DNA. It's amazing how things just seep into your thinking. And because even when I was traveling up with you on the bus, I thought about that line that you actually just came up with, which I thought was like, that's poetical. That is like, so it's now, it's more than just a conversation of the past. It's like a seed that we're going to nurture.
It was interesting because you noticed stepping out of the mainstream, and then the Into a New River came from a memory of a Hopi original North American people's poem by the Hopi tribe, where they talk about a new river is emerging, and it's a metaphor for, like, you need to move down the middle of that river with the new friends around you and get going, and the river is used often, isn't it, as a sort of metaphor of stuff. So in the back of my mind, it was something else. Someone else was talking to me, who, in fact, that poem was transmitted by the Hopi elders who have now passed. So they transmitted the poem to the Hopi people of now. And so, when you think about where ideas come from, there's a hugely personal and universal thing going on.
And now that you've told me that, because you said stepping into the river comes from a poem, so now that I know that, we can safely predict, if we were to do something with stepping into the mainstream, nonetheless, as they say, where there's a it, there's a writ. Somebody would appear and say, wait a minute, copyright infringement, you've used the line.
We just told everyone the line.
These things happen.
So we're gonna pop onto another track now. You said this is a track from I've just got to read where it is up there on my glasses. I can see. No, that's that one. Yes, I can see clearly now. Johnny Nash.
Oh wow! Yeah. Another veteran from the reggae world. One of the most prolific songwriters. One of the most successful artists in the genre of reggae music. Yeah, I can see clearly. By Johnny Nash.
Johnny Nash.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds. think I can make it now. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Oh, what a bright, sunshiny.
Oh yes. Oh yes. What a good song for today. I mean, we had 7 hours of sunshine today in London, which is refreshing to say the very least. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
absolutely, and this was such a refreshing track, reflective of the sentiment of today.
Yeah, yeah. That's there's some melodies, aren't there, that are, I don't know, they're obviously, there's fifths and thirds and harmonies and chords and stuff, but I don't know, they certainly hit the right part. And actually, talking of that, we worked together with Dementia and Dub, which is a continuation for me of the work that I was doing with music and memory, and I know for you is a continuation of the work you do with people living with dementia and stroke, and you've been doing some of that through your poetry workshops. Would you care to say a bit about the poetry workshops and how they happen? Because I know, well, I'll let you speak.
I think more than the continuations, it's the evolution of the work that I've been doing. It's been growing. A lot of the work I've been doing has really is still within my aspirations, or I do it privately when I sit at home by myself. It's been my therapy to write poetry. I write poems because, like most people, they have moments of sadness and anxiety and stress at some time in their life, and that for me was my therapy. After being on antidepressants for a year, going nowhere with that type of medication, I was fortunate to realize what I needed was music therapy. And Dementia and Dub for me represents music therapy, and it also represents the platform which is giving me a voice to communicate and share my thoughts and feelings, because I write poetry.
I know from a few of the conversations we've had that you can run a workshop where there may be someone in that workshop who's never written a poem before, and they can leave the workshop with a poem. I remember you telling me about someone you brought the poem back, having then recorded it with a female vocalist to a dub track. So this person, a month before, had never written a poem, and now they are the writer on a musical composition as well. So that must be an amazing feeling for people. I imagine it brings quite a bit of surprise and joy to them.
Oh, absolutely. I find, for me, because I say I write poem, but really what I do is put a volume to my conversation, and we can all have conversations we can all start to use our voice just by documenting our thoughts and feelings on a piece of paper, just writing it down. When you reflect on what you've written down, it's poetry. 9 times out of 10, your conversations on paper is poetry. So we can all do it. We just need to be encouraged to do it, shown how to do it, and that's what the workshops do. Just encourage people to have a voice and share it on paper. And if they want to keep it to themselves, they can do it.
Yeah.
Or if they want to build on it with a bit of music,
Yeah.
all the better.
And if there's someone sitting at home now listening, or anywhere on a bus listening right now, who feels they might like to do that, is it literally that simple to just listen to your conversation with someone and then just make a little note about the words that were said? Or
it's even simpler than that. It's just, you don't even have to share the conversation or have the conversation with anyone. You can just share your thoughts, just your thoughts and your feelings. You just write it on a piece of paper. Just express yourself as you feel comfortable expressing yourself. No embarrassment, no inhibitions, no need to be shy. Just write it down on paper and then review it.
You know what it reminds me of is I used to teach maths in schools when I was younger, and I remember when I was talking to people about what I did, they would say things like, "Oh, I was never any good at maths at school," and I'd more often than not, I'd say, "So, tell me a little bit about when you were first taught maths." And you'd come to a place where they were in a school where they didn't get something one day, and then they were put on the spot, and then suddenly they were asked to recite their 3 times tables, and they couldn't because they were put on the spot, and their mind closed down, and then someone maybe laughed at them. The teacher said, "I'll go and sit down." You know, and very quickly they got in their mind they were not good at maths. Now, most, all of those people were good at maths. They just never were encouraged in the right way to explore how they could do maths. And I wonder if it's the same with writing. I wonder if some people felt discouraged with their writing when they were young and just closed that avenue down, and then when they're older, it takes a bit of skill to draw, in some ways, I suppose, the confidence or experimentation out.
That's a good way of addressing it. It's just like most things in life revolves, or I have found, requires encouragement, whether it be writing, whether it be appreciating yourself, whether it be you learning how to love and share love and be honest about your feelings. Encouragement, and we sometimes need to encourage ourselves.
That's beautifully put. We're going to move to Kingston Town, Lord Creator.
in Kingston Town. Oh, Kingston Town, the place I long to be. If I had the whole world, I would give it away just to see the girls at play. Ooh. When I am king, surely I would be a queen and a palace and everything. Tonight I am king, then my queen will come at dawn, and we'll be reigning in Kingston Town. Right on, we'll be reigning in Kingston Town. Right on, we'll be reigning.
Beautiful song, Kingston Town, Lord Creator. We were just saying, just at the end of that, as we were chatting, that there's a lot of reminiscence here. These are very important tunes from back in the day, and I said something about, oh, isn't it important about remembering them? And I think, what did you say when I was talking about? We then got that idea that it's there, the music is there, and in you in a deeper way than just recalling it, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. The power that I've heard the phrase being used quite a lot recently. The power of music, and the power of music is not just for the now or for the reminiscence value, but it's also for the future. It actually inspires so much which is about living for life and feeling good about life. So music is just like a complete, relevant thing to our existence.
And I heard recently, it just affirms something that I knew, but they've done some research recently, neurological research, looking at the brain in real time and all this sort of stuff. And they found that rhythm, beat, syncopation, so we're talking really about the drums and the bass and the chop and that sort of rhythm that comes there. When you move your body to that rhythm, be it tap your foot or in your mind sway your hips or actually dance, which I do constantly when I listen to music, my hands are going, and it's not a nervous thing. It's just I just love to be in time with it and to let my body move with the time of the music. They say this gives huge benefits to your whole being. There's something about rhythm and music. I think it comes from when we used to we learned how to chop flints. We spent 1 million years creating opposable thumbs, which is that amazing thing we've got there, that, and we got that from holding and chopping flints. Now when you chop a flint, if you want to do it well, you do it in time with everyone else, because that helps. So you create a rhythm as you're chopping the flint to make the arrowhead or make the knife or whatever, and that, we did that for 1 million years. That's a long time to get into your body that rhythm and being in time with something is good for you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, and I think there's something about music that activates rhythm in a person impulsively and instinctively. You just start to move, and I know that because I can't dance, but I actually find myself dancing. When I'm at home by myself, the music plays, I'm starting moving, and I'm thinking like, wait a minute, I don't dance, I can't dance. But music makes you dance, it makes you move. It doesn't ask for your authority to do anything, it tells you, it makes you move. So yeah, music is something that is attached to something spiritual within us. I don't know how to define it.
Well, I do a look into quite a few things that are connected to spiritual, sort of cosmic ways of being and thinking, and they do argue that music is at the heart of the universe, that in fact you can look at music or the universe being an expression of music. I couldn't exactly put it in a nutshell now why that is, but there's the musical experience, almost like the artistic experience, the experience you get from poetry and looking at art or whatever, or a really good conversation, that these things are somehow in a way a celebration of why we're here. They're deeply interconnected with what's going on. I don't know if I put that right, but it's kind of in contrast to this idea that we know what's going on and we have to control everything and we have to find out what's what about everything in the universe, and letting go of it and listening to the expressions of the universe, that's sort of kind of connected into music. It's a gateway sort of thing.
It certainly is something, because it's something that you just reach for, that you need. I reach for music when I need something that I can't explain, especially when I'm going through a moment of anxiety or sadness or uncomfortable feelings, where I'm a bit kind of uncertain about something. I just reach for music and everything just dissolves and everything is just beautiful and nice. It's got a power that is cosmic or that's mystical that I just can't understand. I just know that it's an essential part of our being.
As you were saying that, I was looking at you. You're wearing the headphones. I wear the headphones all the time. Freestyle wears the headphones all the time, and other people who wear the headphones all the time. And as a link to the next song, I think of everything I own, the most important thing to me might well be, in some ways, my headphones, because if I leave them behind, all right, I tend to listen more to the natural world, which is not a bad thing. But I do rely on music an awful lot. Sometimes I wonder if I rely on it too much, but it soothes me. During lockdown, every morning to get through it, I had to listen to music. And I found myself listening to music from my youth more and more. It seemed very soothing to me. I don't know if you had that experience during lockdown.
Oh, very much so. I actually suffer from breathing problems because I got one of my arteries are blocked, and I actually sometimes struggle to breathe. And the moment I put music on, my complete breathing ability becomes balanced. I struggle with breathing, especially in the mornings. And the moment I play music, it's just everything becomes tranquil and calm, and my breathing starts to become comfortable. I find it amazing how music just works that way with me.
And another thing they say actually in line with that is, do you ever hum to yourself, or do you ever make sounds like humming? I hum a lot and I whistle a lot. And there's a thing called, have you heard of a thing called sound baths?
No.
So they use ringing bells, big bells that make particular vibrational notes. And you lie down, get relaxed, and then they hit these single tones and build up a three-dimensional sound bath. And there's many that say that's a very healing thing.
I know what you're talking. I've seen it being used in therapy recently, and I've seen it and I've thought about it. In fact, I got someone to play it once recently with the view to sampling it. I said, just make these sounds. I want to sample
That's
it.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, well, on to the next track. We've got Everything I Own by the great Ken Booth.
You sheltered me from harm, kept me warm, kept me warm. You gave my life to me, set me free, set me free. The finest years I ever knew, all the
have you back again. Is there someone you know that won't let you go and taking it all for granted? You may lose them one day, someone takes them away, and you don't hear a word they say. And I would give anything I own, give up my life, my heart, my own, and I would give anything I own just to have you back again, just to talk to you words again. If there's someone you know that won't let you go and taking it all for granted, you may lose them one day, someone takes them away, and you don't hear a word they say. And I would give anything I own, give up my life, my heart, my own, and I would give anything I own just to have you back again, just to talk to you words again, just to hold you once again, just to talk to
That was fantastic. Such great nostalgic tracks. That was Ken Booth, Everything I Own, and we've really enjoyed this first hour. We hope that you've enjoyed it. We're just about 30-40 seconds to the hour, so looking forward to the next hour. We'll get a little break during the adverts and the on the hour jingling, yeah, time now is 18:59, and looking forward to spending some more time with you. Before I keep looking at things with my glasses and I can't see long sight. There we go. Now I can see the time. I'll take them off. Yeah. So hope you're having a nice evening. Hope you're getting something nice to eat and then ready to be going out later. The sun's still out. It's warm, and you're listening to Feferity Radio. And see you in about 10.
Feferity Radio makes me happy.
The new EP from William Klein Bailey, featuring 4 amazing tracks like Lush, Rapture, melody of love. And mellow moods. A blend of soul and jazz. Capture the rapture in the rhythm. Available on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, Napster, Tidal, and Pandora. Get your copy now.
Akwesi Boutique are proud sponsors of Fefferity Radio. Akwesi Boutique inspired by 50s and 60s African fashion nostalgia, yet quintessentially British with a London accent, creating custom-made orders for special occasions. Akwesi Boutique create unique hair and clothing accessories that are quirky, classic and stylish for both men and women. Akwesi is a zero-waste design boutique, sourcing distinctive and colourful textiles from remnants, making most of their items one of a kind. You can find Akwesi Boutique on Instagram and Facebook. For more information, email akwesiboutique@gmail.com or visit the website www.akwesiboutique.com.
Fefferity Radio, your nostalgic station. Fefferity Radio, your nostalgic station. Fefferity Radio, your nostalgic station. Fefferity Radio, your nostalgic station.
Okay, welcome back. Slight technical hitch there, which we will admit to. I couldn't see the timing out of that last piece, but yeah, apologies everyone. So we're back in, and we're going to start with a track. Here we go. Let Me Down Easy, Dennis Brown.
Give me time to get over you, baby. Let me down easy. Give me time to get over you, baby. Break it to me gently. If this is goodbye, baby, say it slow. 'Cause you taught me to love you. So come on, girl, and teach me not to love you before you go. All 'cause of the fall from the top to the bottom is such a sudden drop. So let me down easy. Give me time to get over you, baby.
time, baby. Don't turn the lights out on me. Let the feeling flow. Let your sweet kisses turn me on. And your loving arms a little tender day by day. All cause the fall from the top to the bottom is such a sudden drop. So let me down easy. Give me time to get over you, baby. Let me down easy. Give me time to get over you, baby. Let me down easy. Give me a little longer.
Let Me Down Easy by the great Dennis Brown, and we were just chatting. So you had Dennis. You put Dennis Brown, or he was at some of the gigs you did, or
No, these are artists that we actually spent some money on, because you have to always spend money on those artists. And he was one of the artists that we'd book. We put him on at Acton Town Hall, put him on at Hammersmith Palais also, backed by the Rough Cut Band.
and the Rough Cut Band were they a backing band, or did they always play with Dennis Brown?
No, the Rough Cut Band was in fact they were the most renowned reggae backing band for the last 30 years in the UK and in Europe. And yeah, they were the people who backed him.
So did the Rough Cut Band also session or play with other artists in their bands, or were they just always the Rough Cut Band?
No, they had a group called Undivided Roots that was signed to Island Records. They also produced lots of tracks. Incidentally, they produced a track with Dennis Brown, which they're only getting royalties for now.
Right.
And it's amazing how that world works. But yeah, the Rough Cut Band is another story. And yeah, Dennis
Do you remember
Brown,
any of the names of the musicians in the Rough Cut Band?
Yeah, I should remember them quite a lot. I put out a couple of albums with them, but I don't. I remember Tony Roughcut,
Yeah.
who was the boss, a Fish,
What did Tony play?
the guitar.
Chop, or was he he could play the melodies on the guitar?
I've never seen him. He's always been there. I saw him just a rhythm guitarist. So how you term that? Then there's Fish, who plays the bass. Then there's Bubblers. I know all of them. I don't know why the memory of their names have gone
Do you know what they're doing now? Do you know if they're still playing now?
They're still playing very much now. They just a month ago they got an award in Jamaica for a really prestigious award.
Yeah.
In terms of what Jamaican artists or Jamaican reggae artists get, and for a British band to get that award, it's quite something special. So do I know what they're doing now? Yeah, they're doing lots of studio work. They work at a place called Stingray regularly.
I've heard of Stingray. Yeah.
So they're working like every week. They're still very active, the Rough Cut Band.
Do you think musically? Do you think that? Do you think people can go on into their 60s, 70s, 80s playing? Do you ever see that? Or do people normally, by the time you get to 75, 80, you know... I was thinking there of, take as an example, Pharoah Saunders, right? Pharoah Saunders just released an album about a year ago. So there's a very, very senior saxophone player, and he did the album with Sam Shepard. Sam Shepard, a younger man, probably in early 40s, late 30s, electronic music man. He created the background, and then Pharoah Saunders played this most mesmeric sax over the top of it. It's an incredible piece of music, absolutely incredible, 4-side double album. And I imagine Pharoah Saunders, I guess he's in his 80s, I don't know, but what do you think? Can you keep going?
I think if your chemistry and your metabolism allows you to continue living, your creativity works with that.
Yeah.
And without a doubt, you can continue
Yeah.
to be creative and to be a musician, to be an artist,
Mm.
way up into your 60s, 70s, and 80s and beyond.
Mm.
And I think being a musician maybe helps to sustain life.
I remember that. Yeah, I agree with you totally. There was a woman in America. She was a blues singer. She had a career as a younger woman, but then left music around, I think, late 20s, early 30s, but came back to great acclaim, 78 years old, and recorded the seminal tracks of her career. I forget her name. I'll maybe look it up and put it in the footnotes. But I think that speaks to the fact that sometimes the lived experience of the older artist. I mean, Bobby Womack coming back with the man from Blur, Damon Albarn. Bobby Womack came back and did, I think, some of his most incredible work. Gil Scott-Heron, another man who came back to work with a younger musician and produced, absolutely outstanding work to me, work that resonated deeply with me. So I think I've probably answered my own question there. Yeah. I think it is possible. Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Re-engaging, and plus re-engaging back in music is one of the best things for the brain. One of the best things for keeping you going, imaginative, and putting the joy back into your life and the purpose back into your life.
Yeah.
Music does not have a limitation based upon age.
You were saying there about re-engaging with music, something that I'm, trying to do at the moment. And the idea of when something's so important to you, it also sometimes comes along with a bit of fear, because there's a bit of you that knows this is possibly the most important thing to you in the world. And so there's a little part of you that might say, and what if it doesn't, that doesn't happen to me so much anymore. But I think attempting to come back, that voice can say, don't bother because you might fail. Do you know what I'm talking about then?
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but the apprehension that comes with aspiration and wanting to do something can be quite frightening.
Yeah.
It's like me. I'm thinking like, I want to achieve, and where I want to achieve, which is within the world of music and the creative industries. And I'm thinking, am I too elderly now to play a role in that world anymore? Am I deluding myself? And you do these things with all the passion and the desire to be more than just a bedroom artist. And you think, gosh, you want it so much, it can make you fearful of failure or not achieving it.
That's beautifully put. The next track here is the Paragons. It may be a track I know, but I didn't recognise it. But shall we play it and then speak about this one after? Would you want to say a bit about it now?
All I can say, anything that the Paragons have done in the past is elegant, classy, and of the highest calibre.
And John Holt was there.
Oh, he was the lead singer.
Wow. Here we go. This is Wear You to the Ball, the Paragons. That's the Paragons, Wear You to the Ball. A huge tune.
Yeah, a real big anthem and a big classic going back to the 60s. I guess it's relatively obscure, but it is vintage.
We're talking about the early days of ska, and I don't know if it's true that calypso and other genres were there, and then the sort of ska beat emerged. I'll have to do a bit of looking into that and understanding that period of time. Do you have an idea of where that ska sound came from?
No, I mean I should, and I have had an idea, and I did know, I guess, from my research, but my memory banks don't retain memory the way they should.
Yeah.
But when I hear the story, I say, "Oh yeah, I recognise that story."
And we were talking about when, in the 1970s, when Two Tone started over here, and there was a appreciation of ska reinvented in London of that time, by bands such as the Specials, Selector, and the Beat, and many others. That was my era. You know, I was born in 62, so I was 16, 17, I suppose then, and used to go and see those bands, and really enjoyed that whole time. In fact, I went to see the Specials about 9 months ago. Saw them twice, and they just released an album called Protest Songs, which are older songs done in their style. And I think you remember the Ghost Town and all those things by the Specials from that day.
I remember all the tracks. I remember when they came about because I was slightly before that, because I was a part of the skinhead era, and all that world. It was prior to the Specials, slightly. So I watched everything evolve, and I watched it with fascination. And I remember a lot of the songs they did were or some of the songs were regurgitation of some of the stuff that the skinheads days, as I recall them, were based upon in terms of the clubbing.
And there was a little bit of to-in and fro-in with sounds and phrases and language between the islands and London ska at the time. I remember hearing some stories about record labels being named from some of the lingo that was happening in London back in Jamaica, and there was a bit of a connection between, and that's interesting, isn't it? Because what we're doing with Dimension Dub, there's a connection there with New York and the islands and London, and that's always an interesting,
association.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because I mean, a lot of the naming, like Cox and Sound and all of these things, they were actually they were the names of popular entities in Jamaica or Barbados or wherever that type of music was coming from as its roots. In England, we just readapt it and try to re-impersonate it.
Yeah, it just made me think of, I was having a chat with it's a woman who used to work with Vivienne Westwood and Malcolm McLaren in a shop called Sex in King's Road. She's called Jordan, and I was on the train with her back from London, and we were talking about she was talking about, I was talking about the work I was doing with dementia and music, and I was talking about how we were trying to get people their music who were living in care homes, and she said to me, we were just talking about that thing that, can you imagine being in a care home when all they play is Vera Lynn or songs of the war, of a particular group of people's enjoyment? And I mean, if you grew up in the punk era or the two-tone, the ska era, or if your love is reggae music, or if your love is electronic music or whatever, can you imagine not having your music in for example, living in care and not having your music? And that, I think, was what drove me to try and get everyone their music, so that, because your music's very personal.
So much so, it's such a sad misconception that all people who may be becoming quite kind of so elderly that they start to have symptoms of dementia or memory problems are reliant on music of reminiscence value. And that reminiscence value has to be associated with something in the genre of opera or something so predating that person's life's experience. People of all ages need to have culturally appropriate music to their growing up, and that might be rock, that might be dance, and it must not be missed. Even when you're elderly, you can still enjoy current music, and that can be such a joy in your life.
That's really true, and I think that's when I look at my playlists, you know, I was listening to a song the other day called "Ride" by Joe Unknown, and he's only released 2 tracks, but I really, really, really enjoyed that. The energy of that music was just perfect. I loved it, and I think that there's a lot missed, because if you think about it, I was saying this to someone the other day, if you think about your playlists, right, if you were to compose a playlist and someone else your age, similar experiences, compose their playlist, you probably enjoy their playlist, but it's not the same as your playlist. So it's not the same as the tracks that you bring together and put together, including more recent tracks. So the music is shared, universal, but also there's an element where it is deeply personal, you know. And you know, one thing, if someone is living with dementia or you know, they just need music in a way as a kind of a support, then just remember what they personally loved. And you can find the clues in record collections by talking to relatives. You can find the clues by asking the person where'd they go dancing, and then doing a bit of research of what was playing at those places. You know, you can actually build these things for people.
Yeah, one thing that you said, which is very valid, you can find out what the person wants and likes by asking them. Ask and don't assume. And that's so much the case. People are introduced to things that are based upon assumptions.
Yeah.
And that's not criticism, because I suppose if you don't know better, you buy into the conversation of the textbooks. And so many of the textbooks, in terms of dementia care, thinks that it's all about reminiscence. It's not. It's about the power of music.
And actually, as we were saying earlier, you know, to take that step further, you know, it's the power of making music, you know, as well, and involving people in making of music. And I just out of interest, I was at Universal Records in the market down in Brixton the other day, and they were playing. Now I'm going to get the name of this. Do you know what? I'm going to have to go and look this up. But there's a new band come out of Israel, a reggae band, and I bought the album. Absolutely brilliant. But that's a little link into this is an older band. This is Desmond Dekker, and this is the Israelites.
Get up in the morning, slaving for bread, sir, so that every mouth can be fed. Oh, me Israelites, get up in the morning, slaving for bread, sir, so that every mouth can be fed. Oh, me Israelites. Choices ago. I don't want to end up like Bonnie and
The Israelites there, Desmond Decker. Wow, some of these tracks have a fast dropout, don't they? They can catch you out. Do you ever get caught out by a track?
All the time. I don't think the listeners will be too pleased with you cutting him short like that.
Did I cut a bit off there?
I think he might be, wherever he is in the universe, he might be listening and thinking like, why did Simon do that to me?
Well, Desmond, I am sorry. I think it was I was just a bit unsettled by the fact it faded so quickly. I don't know if I cut much off there.
I don't know, but I do it all the time, so it's all right.
It's funny, isn't it? Because in the listeners are probably aware if they're watching on YouTube, but in the gaps, we're talking constantly, and sometimes you get caught out. You know, you got to keep. It's an interesting thing to do, isn't it? Have to watch all these screens and keep your eye on this, keep your eye on that, but then you get very drawn into conversation. And
it really is an exercise. For me, it's a brain workout to multitask, because it requires an element of being focused, pushing up dials, bringing them down.
That's it.
Until you master it, and then you can be on autopilot. It becomes a challenge.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give us both a little break. We're going to put another track straight on here. This is the Aggravators, Steady Rock.
Better get ready, come to rock steady. Yeah. You got to do this new dance. Hope you are ready. You got to do it just like Uncle Freddy. If you don't know it, just shake your head, rock your body line, shake your shoulders, everything in time, then sing. Oh, 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 oh.
The Aggravators there, the Aggravators with Steady Rock. No, that's beautiful. In the whilst that was playing there, we were just talking about poetry. We're gonna in the next hour we're gonna read, or not what we're gonna read in the next hour. Ron's gonna read some of his poems, and we were talking about John O'Doherty, weren't we? And his poem he wrote as part of the workshop, and the fact that. Once he wrote one, which was a great poem, and I remember that very well, a beautiful poem. Once he wrote one poem, and everyone enjoyed it, he's carried on?
Oh, absolutely. He actually comments on the joy he's got. He said, it's something I didn't know I could do. It's something I was never interested in. And he just found it so helpful to his condition, because he's got L's condition, whereby he needs more than just going to Zoom meetings and waiting indefinitely for the prognosis to become a reality in his life, which is dementia. And he just saw, he says it brought so much joy to him, and he said he's now writing poetry simply because he was asked to give it a go.
I heard that poem. Remember you? Did you? Is that one you put to music?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put it to music. He wrote it, and it was just like, no, I sent him the music first. And I said, does this inspire you? No, he sent the poem to me.
Yeah.
And then I put it to music.
I remember that line about walking home as the sun's coming up and the birds are starting to make their sound, and just sort of that. I remember that feeling, not necessarily coming from the blues, but I remember that feeling of when you stayed up all night and you're walking home and the birds are twittering away, sun's coming up. It's not strong yet, but that freshness of the morning time.
I find that quite interesting because I don't think I've ever really spoken to anybody about that poem or how they perceived it. And you've actually visualized what he was experiencing in his what he was trying to convey. And I'm now thinking, like, I need to go back and revisit that poem.
That's an interesting thing, because I listened to a podcast called Poetry Unbound. Poetry Unbound. It's on all available podcast things. And the man whose name I can't pronounce, he's Padraig O'Brien, I think his name is. But he's basically an Irish poet. And he starts the podcast by reading a poem. And then he talks about the poem from the view of a poet. So he's a poet and he's listening to the poem, and he talks about what he feels was going on there. So really interesting. And then in the last part of the podcast, he then reads the poem again. So you hear it first afresh, then you hear the resonance that came to Padraig, and then at the end of it, he reads it again. And so he, you kind of experience it with the insights of a poet. And that's really, in a big way, got me back into listening to poetry more.
I wonder if you'll allow me to do something like that today with one of the poems that I've got.
Oh, yeah.
Read it, explain it, read it.
Yeah,
and,
that's
okay.
a great idea. We'll do it that way. That's what's time now? So we're now, take glasses off. We're now 7:36. So in the final hour, we're going to read some poetry, and we'll do it that way.
Yeah.
Read one poem. We'll do it that way. Okay. More music. This is the Ethiopians. This is Engine 54. Beautiful. That was, we were just saying that the intro there was very like Train to Scarville, wasn't it? It's like if not the same thing actually in a way, seemed like.
It seems like a different version on the same rhythm track.
Yeah. And is there, in your eyes, I mean, I know this might sound naive to all the musicians out there, but what do you think about the process of borrowing, and we talked about it at the very beginning of the evening, but the process of borrowing and adapting, and I think as long as you credit people, there can't be anything wrong with it really. But people like sample a lot now, don't they? They'll take, like, who's it? Mariah Carey blended hip hop with other genres by taking Tom Tom Club track, and then over the top of that recording with I forget the name, the artist doesn't come to mind now, one of the rappers who recorded on that, and from that came a whole new sound, and she was accredited with I mean, I don't know if everyone else out there feels this, but it seems to be true that she was accredited with creating a new genre from doing that. So out of taking, borrowing, putting back together again, putting your own spin, your own creativity on it, new things appear.
Oh, absolutely. It's something that most artists very much welcome. They love it. It's like, especially reggae artists, who many of whom never got any publishing, never got no royalties. Having their records sampled and regurgitated is like one of the best things that could ever happen to them, as long as they get credited and they then recognise for their ownership of the copyright or their role in the copyright. And it also, it's great to see creativity evolve and grow and to be presented in its different art forms. But myself, for instance, as a record producer who's never achieved anything other than owing record companies lots of unrecouped royalties, would I not love somebody to sample one of my records and make it into a hit record? Fantastic. So yeah, sampling is okay, it's beautiful. There was just in the past, the issue was people used to sample your records but they didn't used to give you credit for it. But now that's all been sorted out over time, and once you get your credits and you get your royalties, it just makes a lot of sense of what you put into the music.
You know what you said at the beginning there about a lot of the artists didn't get their publishing. In a lot of the early recordings was the music didn't generate money for the artists? Is that right?
A lot of the artists didn't register their music, didn't understand what copyright was. They didn't understand intellectual property. And a lot of their records would do, especially Jamaican artists, we're talking about reggae music today, mostly, they'd record tracks in Jamaica, it would go overseas, but they were never actually affiliated to royalty collection agencies like PRS, etc. So they never got paid for it. And the companies that did put it out in England would often claim the publishing.
So is that money being properly put back to the artist now?
Not really. Not really, sadly. I mean, it's not just reggae artists, it's most artists. Even today, if you don't understand the intellectual side of the business, you just don't get paid. But there's still a lot of contention going on about royalties going back 40 and 50 years, and monies that are being held by PRS for things that are being disputed. But it's getting better now, and there's more, like, with Colin, our colleague Colin Brown, Reggae Fraternity. Yes.
There's a lot of work they've done breaking the industry down and talking to all aspects, from the musicians to the producers to the writers, and how to be on top of the industry, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what people need to understand is it's the music business, and people focus on the music, but they don't focus on the business.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The next track's by Marcia Griffiths, who sadly didn't make it over. The gig was cancelled during the period of lockdown. Hopefully she'll be coming here soon. I was saying to Ronald in the gap that Dreamland, Marcia Griffiths, the album was very, very important to me as a young man. got me through a very difficult time in my life, talking of the power of music. And I just would like to say with great gratitude, if you're listening, Marcia, and yeah, well.
Can I just say one thing? We don't want to take this conversation any further, but when you said it was very important to you as a young man, you're still a young man.
Young man, 60 years and young. Marcia Griffiths, Feel Like Jumping. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you for everything. So we were just discussing in the break what we'd like to come back in the next life, and I was suggesting I'd quite like to come back as a lump of granite. I find that a very restful thought. I mean, if there is a next life and all that. But yeah, the idea of coming back as, you know, we attribute I think when we look at nature and everything else in the universe, we tend to sort of sometimes attribute humanity to it, but actually there's a lot more going on out there than humans. What do you think?
I think that is that makes me think, and I do think about what comes after life, and so often we're scared of dying because of the uncertainty of afterlife. And you saying you'd like to come back as a rock, I think. I said quite kind of facetiously, I'd like to come back as a smile. I'm not certain I'd want to come back if I'd like to come back, but if I have to come back, I'd like to come back as something very gentle and wise.
Well, it might be a rock.
It might be, because at least you could be an observer and be strong enough to hopefully weather climate change.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose, you know, a therapist might say, Simon, do you feel a little overworked at the moment? Do you feel a bit too busy? Because, I mean, the one thing about a rock is it doesn't need to eat, just sits there, you know. So maybe I ought to relax more and get out into the park more and do less.
Well, relaxing more and getting out into nature, associating yourself with nature, that's a beautiful thing. And that maybe that's preparing you for your future
Yeah.
of being a rock.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I feel inspired to take a week off some point and not do a great deal. You know, maybe just sit around, maybe in the park and see what happens, you know. Rather than planning some great visit to some place of interest and all that, just take time off.
Absolutely, I know that feeling. I really yearn for just calm, for silence and peace of mind. That's something which is very much me at the moment. And I can just get on the train now, going nowhere, just to go somewhere and sit on my iPad and just you know, browse some music and just be indifferent to life. Or I can just walk down the park or towards the park and just feel like nothing matters. It's nice to be just kind of indifferent to life, just relax.
It's a difficult, in a way. I mean, you could look at it as a time where, you know, when I was thinking back when I was young, there was no mobile phones, no internet. I remember, you know, going to see a girlfriend underneath the clock in the high street and, you know, meet her at 2:00. You get there, 2:10, no one there, 2:15, no one there, 2:20, well, I'm off. Might meet them later on and say, well, what happened? They say, well, what happened? He said, well, I said 3:00. And you think, well, you know, nowadays there's no chance for even those little freeing up of an afternoon or misunderstandings to happen because, you know, everyone's sort of in a way so on each other and synchronized that that these things don't happen anymore. And I mean, in the same sort of way that, you know, you could easily go off grid in the old days. All you had to do was leave your house. You know, you didn't take a phone with you, and you get on your bike and that's it. Whereas nowadays, you get on your bike, that isn't it. You know, 500 people can contact you. I mean, it's up to you if you have your phone on, but you know. So.
Yeah. Life is governed by rules and responsibility, and there's no room for actually being just casual and just living without almost a duty to do something or be something or to meet somebody's expectations. Even your expectation can be too much. It's nice to just not care about much.
Yeah, I think it's Mo Gawdat said, happiness is no expectations, you know. I mean, he said something about when your expectations are are higher than the reality of what turns out, some people are sad. And then when your expectations are lower than what turns out, you're happier because you think, well, that went well. And so he's suggesting, you know, from his point of view, to drop expectations. But I just wanted to dedicate this one to Steph. So, Steph, I hope the essay writing's going all right, and look forward to seeing you later. And the track's called Everything I Own, and it's by the great Ken Booth. And yeah, thank you very much, Steph. Okay, here we go. Love you lots.
You sheltered me from harm, kept me warm, kept me warm. You gave my life to me, set me free, set me free. The finest years I ever knew is all the years I have with you, and I would give anything I own, give up my life, my heart, my own, and I would give anything I own just to have you back again. Is there someone you know that won't let you go, and taking it all for granted? You may lose them one day, someone takes them away, and you don't hear a word they say, and I would give anything I own, give up my life, my heart, my own, and I would give anything I own just to have you back again, just to talk to you words again. If there's someone you know that won't let you go, and taking it all for granted, you may lose them one day, someone takes them away, and you don't hear a word they say, and I would give anything I own, give up my life, my heart, my own, and I would give anything I own just to have you back again, just to talk to you words again, just to hold you once again, just to talk to you.
The very beautiful Ken Booth there with Everything I Own. And we're coming up now. Oh, we've got just over a minute actually, which is a nice chunk of time. So thank you for staying with us. Quick message to Prince. Prince, thank you so much for your comment. Absolutely soothing tunes, and we are feeling very soothed here, and soothed to know that you're soothed. So thank you very much for that comment. We will come back after the hour with some more nostalgic tunes and also some poetry. I think you'll be reading, will you, Ronald, from one of your poems after the gap?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. What's the title of it?
You said one, but
we got room for two or three.
Okay, I'd like to explain one of them and read two.
Okay, Great.
And one of the titles is one of them's about love,
Yep.
and one of them's just me being sentimental about life.
Okay. And we're going to do it in that poetry unbound fashion of you might read it and then talk a little bit about what it is in a way, and then read it one more time.
Please, thank you very much.
I think that will work. That will work really well. Well, look, we're looking forward to seeing you on the other side of the adverts and the jingles. So, see you soon.
Feferity Radio makes me happy.
The new EP from William Klein Bailey, featuring 4 amazing tracks like Lush, Rapture, Melody of Love, and Mellow Moods. A blend of soul and jazz. Capture the rapture in the rhythm. Available on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, Napster, Tidal, and Pandora. Get your copy now.
Crazy Boutique are proud sponsors of Fefferity Radio. A Crazy Boutique inspired by 50s and 60s African fashion nostalgia, yet quintessentially British with a London accent. Creating custom-made orders for special occasions. A Crazy Boutique create unique hair and clothing accessories that are quirky, classic and stylish for both men and women. A Crazy is a zero-waste design boutique, sourcing distinctive and colourful textiles from remnants, making most of their items one of a kind. You can find A Crazy Boutique on Instagram and Facebook. For more information, email acrazyboutique@gmail.com or visit the website www.acrazyboutique.com.
Fefferity Radio, your nostalgic station.
Welcome back. Looking forward to spending the next hour with you. We've got some poetry, we've got some music, and we've got a little bit of conversation. We're going to kick off with a song, and then we'll be back after that with some poetry. This is Caught You in a Lie by Louisa Mark. caught you in a lie, a very young Louisa Mack there. We reckon. Did we saying? We were saying. I think we were saying. Thought she was about 15, 16 when she recorded that, or
Yeah, I suspect
Yeah.
maybe even 14.
yeah.
But it was back in the days when Lovers Rock was really starting to blossom, and she's known very much as being one of the queens of reggae Lovers Rock music.
Beautiful, crystal voice, isn't it?
Yeah, she's done a lot. She's passed away now, but she was like quite a. She still is a very popular Lovers Rock artist.
That was really beautiful. That was. The great joy of doing this, by the way, is that I was saying to you earlier on, I get to take the playlist away. You see, we will put the playlist, we'll make it available, just the list, because a lot of people, I think, would like to listen to it again. So we're going to move on now with a little bit of poetry, and we're doing it. We're going to read the poem and then come back and maybe have a bit of a conversation about it, and then read it one more time. So,
Okay.
over to you, Ron.
What I'm going to do, first of all, and thank you for this, I'm going to read a poem that I wrote many years ago, and I'm looking for it as we talk, and it's, for me, anyhow, it's quite sensible, and it's also a reflection of me growing up. I think it is a sad embrace that love should leave tears on my face, and it knocks my heart and stains my cheeks to think that we no longer speak, and turning forever like a wheel in the orbit of my mind. I often wonder if love is real and the reason it's so unkind, as I just cannot see, though my vision is clear, why love should appear and disappear. I love you.
Is this, you wrote this, how old are you roughly then?
I think I was about, I was definitely 16. No, 17.
Was it addressed to a particular person or a general feeling?
No, not 17, 18. I was 18, definitely. I was very much naive, and I didn't know how to use the word love. And I was with this amazing lady, a lady called Sean. I wish I could see her to just give her a hug. And I didn't love her, but she loved me. And she did so much for me. So much for me. And I just didn't love her. I didn't even know how to use the word love, because I was one of these boys who used to play kind of a bit more macho than I was. And when I was away, she'd come and visit me and look after me. And things I couldn't say to her, I wrote down. And I wrote this poem for her.
Sounds like a love poem.
Yeah, it was a love poem. And I actually, there's different forms of love that you can have. And I love this lady, not in the way that love is traditionally known, or was known back then. But I actually love this lady. She's just such a beautiful memory, and I love this lady.
Was she someone you met locally? How did you meet?
Well, back then I was a naughty little kid, and I was on the run from the police, so I needed somewhere to stay, and she put me up. And while I was there, we became intimate. We became really great friends, and it was just, we met because I was on the run, and she gave me a place to stay.
Can you remember? Does that time come back to you now? Can you sort of see the room?
Oh yeah, I can see the room, because we used to do something I'd never done before. Like, she'd have a natural, a real fire, a real coal fire.
Oh.
So we would actually do barbecue. We'd actually grill our food. So we'd sit there, and instead of using the stove, we'd do it on the real fire. And it was kind of really amazing. Her room was just like, she was like a hippie.
Yeah.
So she was like from a different world that I wasn't acquainted with. She was a school teacher, and it was everything different to what I had been acquainted with. growing up, different world, and she came from a almost very privileged world. And the whole environment, the room was just like an environment of like, wow. If my brethren them saw me here now, they say, whoa. You know, it was just a different ball game.
Fires. There's something, just that, what you said there about the fire and the grilling of the food on the fire, cooking the food in the fire, and that room, and it being a place where you could stay, a refuge in a way, for some time. How long were you there?
I think it went on for about at least maybe 7 or 8 months. And then we became, as far as she saw it, we were like lovers now. We were like a relationship. But I didn't treat it like a relationship. And she didn't get the friendship from me that she deserved from a relationship. And she should have got more of a friendship from me, because she was such an amazing, amazing person to me and my environment and the community that I was hanging around with, my mates and everybody. She was just phenomenal.
You said there about she didn't get the friendship she deserved from that relationship. That's a powerful thing to say. That certainly cut to me as you said that. I thought, gosh, what a thing to keep in mind, that, you know, there's often tough times with people who you love, and sometimes you forget friendship, you know. And I thought that was, Can we hear it again?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What's the title?
Funny enough, I've never titled it. Oh, maybe I think it is A Sad Embrace, maybe. Right, here we go. I think it is a sad embrace, that love should leave tears on my face. And it knocks my heart and stains my cheeks, to think that we no longer speak. And turning forever like a wheel in the orbit of my mind, I often wonder if love is real and the reason it's so unkind. As I just cannot see, though my vision is clear, why love should appear and disappear. I love you.
Thank you. This is Waiting in Vain, Bob Marley and the Wailers. Bob Marley and the Wailers. Waiting in Vain. We're going to go to another poem now. And this poem is connected to a book you're about to publish. So maybe you could say a bit about that before you read it, possibly.
Okay, there's going to be a book is in the pipeline, which actually documents essentially my journey, especially following my having a stroke and being diagnosed with dementia, and becoming the person who I am now, or I feel I am now, which basically is every day I feel amazing, and every day I feel just so grateful and so joyful about life. Nonetheless, I do have issues and I do have struggles. I guess like everybody else. Okay, the poem is called The Mountains I Still Climb, which is the title of the book. And the book actually captures lots and lots of snippets of conversations revolving around the mountains I still climb. Pardon. Poem. You come to see me, but you don't see me. We have a conversation, but you don't hear me. And I've been thinking, if you don't hear me, how are you going to know what I'm thinking? Your eyes fixed on me. Sometimes you smile. I always smile, and I wonder if you know why. But if you don't hear me when I'm speaking, how are you going to know what I'm thinking? And if you can't hear me when I'm calling, how are you going to know if I'm falling? And though I no longer dance beneath quiet skies, nor run across open fields, I wonder if you'd believe the mountains I still climb.
That's beautiful. That's When and where did that come to you? Did that come in a stream to you? Did that come in a flow? Did you work on it a lot? Or how?
No, that was a protest. That was my way of screaming at the world and trying to say something which no one seemed to hear. That was my way of having a conversation with senior people in the Alzheimer's Society who I'd been reaching out to in terms of them recognizing the value of me, or of them working with me to develop a music related project. And when they finally did embrace me to set up the project, they started to do my project and would have me believe that that was a way of working with me. And I was trying to say, no, I want to do the project. I want to deliver the project. I've got the credentials and expertise to do it. And it's not a criticism of the Alzheimer's Society, because they've been amazing to me. They still are amazing to me, despite the fact we do go on the battlefield in terms of opinions. But with regards to this situation, it was so frustrating, and it was at a time when I just needed to validate myself beyond being somebody who was just expected to be reliant on medication. I just wanted to do something, and they just could not get it in their heads. That Ronald wants to do this, and he can do this. He's got the credentials to do this, and he doesn't want his project to be trivialized and be treated the way they were treating it. And instead of risk arguing with them, I just wrote them a poem.
Yeah. As you said that, I was thinking about the way that other organisations engage, without saying too much. But the work you did with the BBC, there's some flavors that are similar in a way. You know, a great radio program that you produced for them, a tremendous piece of work. And also, I remember you saying to me it was a bit of an uphill struggle to do it your own way and not be undermined by people who thought they were meaning well.
Absolutely. Again, another traumatic experience with a beautiful outcome. And what I have learned, though, is to, as much as I want people to empathize with me, I've learned to empathize with them. Sometimes you have unconscious bias or misunderstanding. People just don't understand. And so often people think when you've got a brain injury or you've got a dementia diagnosis, you are no longer as capable as you are. And that is something that so much needs to play into the conversation of awareness. Despite the diagnosis, people have got so much more to give. And sometimes, because of the diagnosis, people become more aware, more sharper, more ambitious and more capable than they were before the diagnosis.
It's interesting, sir, because my father's just turned 90 and lives with dementia. And in many ways, he's more present for me than ever in my life before. You know, so can I ask you something about the structure of the poem? So I heard a sort of rhythm in it. They're quite short. The lines are quite short. They're almost like lyric. I could hear a kind of a lyrical side on it. How did you choose it? And also, it reminds me of a very direct way of speaking, because the meaning comes across very strongly. It's very direct.
When I wrote it, I didn't actually write it as a poem, but I did write it with music in the background of where I was. Especially when I'm feeling sentimental or anxious about something, I always have music playing. And I guess the music influenced the style of the writing. Without me planning it that way, I think I find when I write, I tend to write a bit rhythmically, unintentionally, but that is the outcome. When I read it back, I think like, or people say that sounds like a poem, and it's got a kind of vibe to it that implies it's poetry, and it's got rhythm to it, perhaps. And I guess writing with music, just in the background of your life somewhere, your mind or whatever, it influences how you think and what you actually write.
Yeah. So I was thinking of the emotion of the moment, and you writing an email to someone at that organisation. It you know, the power in the poetry is there's no language to hide behind, in a sense. It's there. It's very, very clearly stated, and it seems very powerful. Could we hear it again?
You can definitely. Yeah. And one more thing, what I think I've just thought about recently, I'm thinking like delivering a conversation through art, through poetry, is a great way to avoid an argument or a fight of conversations. Because if I try to address this conversation with them, with the volume of my conversation turned up, we would have fallen out. And it would have been a horrible conversation, not because it was planned that way. These things just happen. So sometimes art can rescue a situation. Yeah? So to read the poem again, it starts again. The mountains I still climb. You come to see me, but you don't see me. We have a conversation, but you don't hear me. And I've been thinking, if you don't hear me, how are you going to know what I'm thinking? Your eyes fixed on me. Sometimes you smile. I always smile, and I wonder if you know why. But if you don't hear me when I'm speaking, how you going to know what I'm thinking? And if you can't hear me when I'm calling, how you going to know if I'm falling? And though I no longer dance beneath quiet skies, nor run across open fields, I wonder if you'd believe the mountains I still climb.
What a price to
this way we were living. But I realized how much I missed you. And now I'm back.
I wanna know what's the meaning of life without the love of my own.
You don't know how you make your family feel, to do the things that's real, say the things you please. They say you're in cocaine, oh, you should change your name. They even say you're insane. You don't know how you make your teachers feel, to write the things you know, discuss the things you learned. They say you're dropping out, you'll be a thief without a doubt. For a youth your heart's too stout. You should know how you make your rich friends dumb, to hear you're in the slums, existing just on crumbs. They don't know the joys within that you share with your ghetto skin. You're tired of rich happenings. You make the society frown, to walk the streets in town. They'll laugh, there goes a clown. They say you're looking slim, oh, you should be sweating out in a gym. You even need a trim. They don't know how it gives you joy inside to see them run and hide. When bills flows in like tide, they should be walking proud, express themselves aloud, not hiding from the collecting crowd.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was Bob Andy. You Don't Know. Fantastic. So we were just talking about. We haven't mentioned yet the film that you did recently. There were two films, I think. What was the film that you made about your experience of dementia? And what was that one called?
One of them's called Amanze, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's the one that we put out on the social before tonight. So all these links we'll put them all on the podcast when it comes out.
I always find it amazing that anything I've done seems to be of relevance. I'm always fascinated and curious. I guess I'm still finding the confidence to believe in myself. But I do know it's important for voices to be heard. And to be heard beyond just like the paragraphs of academia. And it's great the way they can use art and media to tell stories. Or it's being more kind of used at a grassroots level. And that's what they've been doing with me. They're recognizing that I might struggle with conversations in the conventional way, but if they can just grab me and mix me up, maybe that will do the job. And that's apparently what they think they've done, and I'm just smiling and loving it.
You talk about art there and the power of art, the power of communicating. I was sitting this morning in a cafe, and there was a woman with two very small children. One was 6 months old, and one was 2.5. And the 6-month-old was eating a bit of, I don't know, pumpkin or something. It was a favourite food. It was like but it was just sort of like gnawing it. Didn't have any teeth really, just sort of like going at it. But the child's eyes were locked on me, completely locked on me, and every now and then my dog. And it was extraordinary to just experience the world and notice the creativity all the time, everywhere. The way people walk, the way they laugh, the way a little child can. I was working on my laptop doing stuff, but every now and then looking up, and its eyes were still locked. And I was thinking, and my goodness me, a very young child's eyes are often so clear, so incredibly clear. And I think, we were talking earlier about the power of young people. And, I've always noticed that if you let a young child speak, and if you listen, particularly if a group of adults listen to a young child speaking, the creativity that's in that child to express whatever it is they want to say with moving around or dancing or going right off script and ending up somewhere where we're not quite sure how we got there, but so I think it's in everybody, and we were talking earlier about doing some writing, and I think that it's there, the creativity is there. And the one thing I suppose that I'm now 60 and I've kind of picked up is just keep doing it, and it's the measure. I listened to this writing teacher the other night, and he was saying, so you can either write because you want to be published and you want people everywhere to know your work and you want to become a well-known writer, or you can die in obscurity having written great works, for example, like William Blake. So this obsession with being validated now, here and now, by large numbers of people is the whip in the snake's tail. Because why are you doing it? You're doing it because it's in you, and that's why you're here in a way, and you want to express it. And it's really of no consequence. It's financially consequent if you become hugely famous, and at the same time, it's not always the way that things go well. So doing it for the love of it and keeping on doing it is to me a very important thing and a very natural thing. Not losing that childhood creativity,
Yeah, absolutely what you said I embrace, but equally, some people do it, like I very much do it, is to give closure to all these sentiments and all these thoughts that are just like overload in my mind. There's so many things I would like to say, and I can't say or can't seem to say in conversation. So I do it to just like get it out of me. And I think I found a way to do it without falling into some kind of uncomfortable debate with people where I have to explain what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If there's an issue with it, I can just say, that's just art, and just leave it as that. I do it for therapy, for closure, to get things that are bubbling up inside of me that needs to be heard or needs a voice. If nobody hears it, I still know that I have got it out of me.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think I hear you. I go into personally I go into a lot of fantasy world all the time, so I kind of love making up little stories and play acting little scenarios and adopting different voices and making vignettes and sort of little mini performances, and so I suppose to some extent, as you spoke that, I thought, I wonder what I'm avoiding. Maybe I need to take a bit of quiet time and really, it's interesting.
Yeah, but can I just say one thing? You say you go into little fantasy worlds. I think we all do, but we don't recognize where we're going. I actually live in a fantasy world. I actually come from a fantasy world. I actually live my whole existence in terms of real joy, not embracing too much of reality.
Yeah. Well, we're coming to the last 10 minutes or so. So we're going to play a little bit more music, and see you after Substitute Lover, Half Pint.
Whenever she passes by, she always finds herself with another guy. She even goes as far to say that I'm her superstar. But girl, oh girl, I'm not a substitute lover. Oh no, oh girl. Whenever I call you on the telephone, there's someone to say you're not at home. Girl, you always have an alibi. It seems to me you have another guy. Don't intend to climb your love ladder or get caught up in your rapture. You see, girl, oh girl, don't take me for no substitute lover. Oh no, ooh, oh girl. Oh no. Get yourself together and change your act. With your behavior, you might get caught in a trap. Sometime I wonder if your love is really true. By your action, little girl, it won't get through. Oh girl, oh girl, I'm not a substitute lover. Oh no, oh, oh girl. Whenever she passes by, she always finds herself with another guy. She even goes as far to say that I'm her superstar. But girl, oh girl, don't take me for no substitute lover. Oh no, ooh, oh girl, oh girl, I'm not a substitute lover. Whenever I call you on the telephone, there's someone to say you're not at home. You always have an alibi. It seems to me you have another guy. Sometimes I wonder if your love is really true. By your action, little girl, you won't get through. Oh girl, oh girl, don't take me for no substitute lover. Oh no, oh girl.
That was the beautiful Substitute Lover, Half Pint. We're going to play another track, and then it's we're going to say a few goodbyes and then leave you to your summer evening. Let's hope you're doing some summer breezing.
Brand new one on the radio. Just play me in a stereo. Summer breezing. Yeah, man. Summertime. So I call Michelle up on the cell, bring a Nike bikini and nothing else. We're going to the beach, take the top off the Jeep and bring Chantel as well. And the boys upstairs wanna come, but they remind me of Dumber and Dumb. Oh Lord, what a heat, so turn the car key, gonna have a lick of fun in the sun. Yeah. Summer breezing. Everywhere I go, everybody I know. Chocolate done. Everybody staring, checking out the bling 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 we're wearing. Strolling down the boardwalk, eating all the boy talk. Well, I feel like that song by Bobby McFerrin. No worries, cause everything cool. No school, no rules, just jump in the pool. G-strings and jerk chicken wings. These are the things that summertime brings. Summertime brings.
Summer swing.
Summer breeze. Everywhere I go, everybody I know is kissing on the beach and kissing on the street and looking for a love so sweet. Summer breeze. I'm just chilling in the sun with my chocolate tan. Ooh, I got a lover, but I might find another if I drink enough of tequila.
Huh, it's Bounty Killer, Diana King.
Summer breeze.
Bringing the summer swing, doing her thing. Summer breezing, high and cleaving. Girls skinny dipping, a woman strip teasing. I wish it was summer for the whole 4 seasons. Summertime is here for a jolly good reason. Diana, it is summer, drop the top from the Hummer. Chantel and Michelle get the forerunner. I'm the #1 stunner, all the girls wanna come up. I got this thing me like a drummer. Summer swing. Huh.
What time is it? 6:45 and the sun is arising. Me and Michelle and Chantel feel like hell. I'm gonna sleep till 2 and I call up my crew and do it all over again. Do it all over again. Everywhere I go, everybody I know is kissing on the beach and kissing on the street and looking for a love so sweet. Summer breeze.
Bounty Killer, Diana
Just
King.
chilling in the sun with a chocolate tan. Ooh, I got a lover, but I might find another if I drink enough of tequila. Summer breeze. Everywhere I go, everybody I know is kissing on the beach and kissing on the street and looking for a love so sweet. Summer breeze. I'm just chilling in the sun with a chocolate tan. Ooh, I got a lover, but I might find another if I drink enough of tequila. Summer breeze.
Summer swing.
Everywhere I go, everybody I know kissing on the beach and kissing on the streets and looking for a love so sweet.
Summer breeze in there, Diana King, and what a great track that is. Fantastic, and makes you think: is the sun gone down now? Let's have a look. Yep, the sun's gone down, and it's very warm in here, isn't it, Ronald? You warm?
Oh no, I'm feeling really kind of very calm and very relaxed and beautiful. This is really good for me.
Yeah, I'm boiling up here. Maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe it's the added responsibility of operating the controls.
I think it is, because I know if I was trying to do what you're doing,
Yeah.
I would be suffering from just like so much kind of, I would have aborted it.
Tell me, when you were doing the radio station, what was the equipment like then? Was it similar to this, or?
Oh, we had, no, nothing like this. This is like, well, it was similar like this really. There was no computer. There were 2 decks. There was CD players.
Was most of it off CD then?
Yeah, it was always off CD and vinyl. CD and vinyl and a mixer. Very primitive stuff, but the sound was amazing.
And then that went up to there was the amplification transmitter, and then off it went.
Yeah, we'd have a lead from the we used to go directly from the back of the mixer straight up input into the mix into the transmitter. Yeah.
And what was the reach of Time and Girls FM, and when you were there in Harleston, where did that reach to?
It covered most of London. Sometimes on a good day you could hear it in Luton. It's like, I think weather circumstances would determine the signal, but we would definitely reach Brixton. We definitely reach Streatham, because sometimes the land dips, the signal might go over it, so we'd be getting listeners beyond Brixton.
Yeah, geographically further out, but they weren't in the dip.
Yeah. So but we were a popular station. We had people like EMI, Warner Brothers, Virgin Records giving us adverts. We were getting adverts from major record companies, which resulted in a record deal with Polydor. We signed an artist called Phoebe One. So it kind of worked. It got us the attention. We just didn't capitalize on it.
And how long did you do that for then? How long was that station?
We did it all told because we had a few stations. When one went, we put up another one. I'd say all told we were community radio activists for about 8 years, 9 years.
So community radio activist, producer, poet, filmmaker, author, book writer. What's next? What do the next few months hold? Obviously Dementia and Dub as well, which is
Dementia and Dub very much a priority for me.
You're down at St Ives, the Tate Gallery in St Ives, I think is that's coming up.
Yes, that's coming up. Not very enthusiastic about it because there's an element of responsibility whereby I'm expected to be serious and perform logically, and that's something my poor little brain struggles with. I like to just be very indifferent to life and cautious and reckless. So I need to actually discipline my thinking. But what's next for me is enterprise for well-being through Dementia and Dub. Yeah, that's what is next for me. Being involved with something that gives back in terms of education and learning for people who've got health issues. Yes. Raising awareness of dementia, mental health. That for me is like a worthy of a life pursuit. Yes. Educating people about health issues and having fun.
We would love to have you back when the book's out and to talk a bit about that, and we'll obviously let people know when it's out. And also we'll put the playlist from tonight out on the website and on the podcast. I'd just like to say a huge thank you to you for coming in and spending this time here, and what a joy it's been having this conversation, as it always is.
Yeah. And can I say one more thing? A big shout out to Colin from Fraternity or Reggae Fraternity. A big shout out to David Trustwell. Most definitely a big shout out to yourself. Thank you. And to all my colleagues in Dementia and Dub, because they make me feel so joyful about inclusion and being a part of something beautiful.
And it's a real joy to be on that journey with you. Thank you, Freestyle, and we're handing over. Good night. We got to start.
Feferity Radio makes me happy.
The new EP from William Klein Bailey, featuring 4 amazing tracks like Lush, Rapture, Melody of Love,